Today what I'd like to do is go over some simple water test sampling with y'all and then show you what we test for out here at the Lake Waco Wetlands. Right now we're going to start on really simple water test kits from the World Water Monitoring Day, and you can look this up online and find the test kits there. They're really simple. They test for dissolved oxygen, temperature, pH, and turbidity, and these are all parameters that we test for out here at the Lake Waco Wetlands to determine how healthy our water system is. So first, we're going to kind of go over the parts of the test kit. This is the answer sheet, and it's all color coded, so we're going to see what the dissolved oxygen coloring should be in a healthy system. We're going to talk about pH, and we're also going to talk about the turbidity. But first of all, I went on and got the water sample from the Lake Waco Wetlands out here at the infall, and as you can tell, we have a temperature gauge right in here, and the most highlighted one is 24, and that's 24 degrees Celsius. So just remember that when we're tallying the results in just a little while for saturation. So what we're going to do first is look at the turbidity, and inside the jar we have a little Secchi disc decal down at the bottom of this sample jar. It's a black and white disc, and it tells you just visually that you can see how clear or how cloudy the water is. So in our sample right in here, turbidity, you can see how clear it is, how kind of a little murky it is, or if you just cannot see it at all. And that's measured in JTUs, Jackson Turbidity Units. And so in my sample, just looking at it, I'm going to call it right in the middle. So I'm going to say it's a 40 JTUs. This will make sense to you when you read a little bit more about it on the World Water Monitoring Day website. Next, what we're going to do is test for pH. And pH is just tells us how acid, neutral, or alkaline your water is. And that's very important in a healthy wetland system or a pond system, river system, lake system, because that determines how healthy your water is and what type of organisms, what kind of vegetation will actually live in this particular area. So it's, like I said, it's all color coded. So in our particular case, it only goes from 4 to 10 with the different color scheme that it has on there. So anything from a 0 to a 6 is considered acidic. Anything from 14 to about an 8 is alkaline. And so in our case, in any case, whether you're drinking your water, flushing your toilet, taking a bath, you want that water to be at a 7. So what we did is we filled up our test tube right in here all the way to the 10 milliliter line using a pipette. And so we just got wetland water, put it in there. And then we have different reagent tablets that we just used one on this one. We put it down into our solution, and you just kind of mix it for a little while until the tablet dissolves and it changes into this particular color. So if you can't really tell, just bring it right up towards the sun, and I can kind of see it's between a 7 and an 8, which in our case, being out here at the Lake Waco Wetlands, that's perfect. It's great. I would be more concerned if it was less than or a lot higher than the 8 or the 7 itself. So this is telling me this is where it needs to be, right in here. So next, what we're going to do is test for dissolved oxygen. So dissolved oxygen is we use a little the glass vial here. We uncap it, take it with 2 fingers, put it down into our wetland solution, bring it back up, make sure that it doesn't have any air in it already, and then we'll take 2 of the dissolved oxygen tablets, put it in there, and I kind of did it for us right in here. And what we do is bring it right over here and see what color it is. So dissolved oxygen basically is a measurement of how many molecules of oxygen is in the water. And why is that important? because we have living organisms living in the wetlands already. So we have fish, we have frog or tadpoles that can't come out of the water line, different types of insect larvae, and just different types of organisms that need dissolved oxygen, that the vegetation that's underneath the water line, so the different types of wetland grasses that we have, cattails in particular, because we have a lot of those, water lilies, lily pads, things like that, that you would normally see in a wetland type of environment. That is a vegetated plant that does produce oxygen through photosynthesis. So we want to make sure that our water isn't real turbid. So that's why we take a turbidity test. We want to make sure that it's not too acidic or too alkaline, that it's right in the middle, because that's how organisms grow. And then we want to make sure that it does have dissolved oxygen. So in our case, if you look at it, it's measured in parts per million. So the first one is no coloring at 0 parts per million, or you have the 4 parts per million, or you have the 8 parts per million. In our case, I'm going to call it as a 4 parts per million. And I think it has a little bit of coloring right in there. The good thing is it does have some dissolved oxygen in it, and I would be more concerned if it didn't, obviously, because then I would see some fish floating in the wetlands because they weren't getting enough oxygen. So that tells me that there is dissolved oxygen in there. So now what I'm gonna do, through the World Water Monitoring booklet, we're gonna measure the saturation. So we said our temperature was about 24 degrees Celsius. And so on this chart, we go down and we said that our dissolved oxygen was about 4 parts per million. So according to this chart, we have 48% saturation of water molecules in the water right now. So that's, right now it's telling me it's a healthy environment. So this, again, this is just a really simple water test that some of y'all may do if you have pools or ponds or even hot tubs in your area or where you live. So scientists take these types of measurements. We go a little bit more and we take conductivity, we take carbon dioxide measurements, different types of measurements that tell us how healthy that water system is before it goes into our water treatment systems.